because they're thinking.
How scientific was the study?
Yeah. Just general jocks.
It wasn't.
Versus nerds.
It was on the internet, so I'm pretty sure it was right. I think it was on TMZ.
It was on the web, so it has to be true.
Dudes to Dads is a podcast to help men understand and navigate the transition of being a single dude into a family man. How do we make sense of it all? Well, we probably won't be able to, but let's go ahead and have some fun trying. And we're back.
We're back.
Alan, how are you doing today?
Doing well, thank you. How about
Happy
yourself?
New Year to you.
Happy New Year, 2016 is here.
That's so
Can
crazy.
you believe that?
It was a very fast year.
Oh, you're telling me. I can't believe that it's already gone.
I know.
And now we're up to 2016.
I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm ready for it. But either way, this is Dudes to Dads. I'm Jason Kreidman.
I'm Alan Bush.
And we have a very special guest today.
Yes.
Some of the people might know him because he's been here and he actually did some episodes that people liked.
Yeah.
And listened to.
Yeah.
Which is surprising. No, I like to rile him because he's one of my best friends.
You go way back with us so you can grill him.
What, 30-something years now.
Really?
Which I'm not going to date myself.
No, that's
but yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, we've been friends for quite some time. And I am talking about Kevin. Kevin, why don't you say hello?
Hello, and I'm glad you stopped dating yourself.
Ooh, that sounded
Terrible
strange.
relationship.
I'm just saying, that's how long we've been hanging out. You throw that out there, I'm going to pick it up.
So Kevin,
it's great to be back. Thank you.
Yeah, Kevin was had told me he's going to be in town, for the new year and such, and so he actually had this idea. So I will give him the credit, which I don't usually do. I'm not, I don't usually give other people credit for anything. Is New Year's resolutions for dads?
Yeah.
The idea is, everybody in the new year makes resolutions and thinks that, they're going to change their whole life around and do these wonderful things. Yeah. But Kevin, as you pointed out, that doesn't always happen.
It rarely does. And what triggered some of this thought process was, and we kind of were joking about it, you get 60, 70 years to do your own resolutions and make them happen for yourself. With your kids, you're lucky if you get, 15 years of, being a good parent and setting that example when they're near you. So a little more important to try to keep a few of these. Maybe there's a plan to do it, but more importantly, let's see if we can have some fun and get some people motivated.
Yeah. So Kevin and I were working on this, compiling
for weeks.
Yeah. Well, maybe an hour.
About weeks, maybe minutes. Did I say weeks?
So, and I think we came up about 19 of these New Year's resolutions that dads, can have now. So I want to go over these.
Okay.
They are not going to apply to everybody. And I think, Kevin, you had made the point too that, try to at least pick a couple of them rather than thinking that you can do all 19.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's something. And I think at the end of this, we're going to talk about ways that you can actually accomplish these and manage these, and they're actually realistic.
Yeah.
Alan, do you do New Year's resolutions typically?
Not really, but I really need to this year because there was a part of me that wanted to go to the gym a lot more. Don't drink as much beer,
That's not working for you?
It wasn't working for me last year. I did a lot more drinking and less gym than I really wanted to. I was actually mingling, doing a lot of social activities to build
for a guy that does that, you're still looking good. You're looking in shape. And
it's
all
very heavy
metabolism.
cans.
Is that a genetic thing, then?
Yeah. I want to take a picture of myself and go, and partially.
I did look like this.
Yeah. It's all genetics because it has to do with my health for the most part.
No, that's
But I want to go back to the gym and get
I haven't formally. I don't recall. Maybe years ago where I actually formally wrote something down to say, hey, I'm going to do a resolution. Yeah. I typically, I guess, you do become a little bit more introspective.
Yeah.
That you start thinking about, how was this year?
Yeah.
How did it go the way that I want? Was there some things that I did, well? There's some things that I maybe could improve upon.
Yeah.
So I do think that resolutions, you can call them goals during the rest of the year.
I know. It's no distinguishing.
Right. Well, we set goals. We do homework for, as part of the show. We do some things. And part of that is, a lot of this I say because I need to do them myself.
Yeah.
And so these resolutions, most of them, I don't say all, but most of them resonated with either Kevin or I, and we have some relation to it because there's a ton of them out there, and there's a ton of them that people have.
Right.
But these are really relating to your family, your spouse, your kids, that kind of thing, which is, specific for dads.
So one thing is, your kids are about the same age, or are they a couple years apart?
You're talking Kevin's.
Kevin's and yours.
Yeah, his 1 year. Each one's about 1 or 2 years older. But
yeah.
But
so
mine are
more or less the same age.
9 and 8, and his are just a little bit younger.
Yeah,
so.
right. Okay, great.
So some of this may apply, like you said, Kevin. You only have so many years.
Right.
So when they're smaller, there's some things that you're going to want to do.
Sure.
So let's start with this. So the first one, which is very obvious, spend more quality time with your children.
Right. Now define quality time.
Well, so that's the thing. I think with any of these, you have to be specific.
Yeah.
And they have to be measurable. Those were the
Oh my God,
overarching.
so we're back in I feel like we're back in the office or something.
Well, yeah, like
measurable, quantifiable results. I want to see analytics related to your quality time.
But it is, because if you just say spend more quality time, so I think you need to be specific. You need to say spend. I'm going to spend 5 hours per week. Additional than you normally would, or whatever.
Sure.
Or every Thursday night I'm going to do this, and this. With a child.
Yeah, it's about. It doesn't have to be what it is that we think is quality. It's what you think is quality, right? Again, you have a chance.
So many different things.
Yeah, you have a chance to impact your relationship with your kid. What's something that will be a quality of that, and put other things away. The quality time is, putting your thoughts aside outside of work, or
focused,
your phone away, or whatever the case may be, just so you can actually be in the moment. And I guess that's really the key of it. Make sure you're doing as much as possible. And I think that's Dad 101. I mean, that's why it's our number one resolution, because I think we all want to do that every year. It should be something you strive for.
And it's not easy. I mean, you think about schedules. You think about you have to make a conscious effort to do that. Yeah. And so I think if you schedule it. It might happen a little easier.
Yeah, and you're big on that, Jason, with having like things on the board, and
I try.
Pretty organized.
I try.
With that.
I wouldn't say that it always goes perfect. My intention is usually better than execution.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I mean, I said like my Friday afternoons where I want to dedicate that to spending time with my kids. But as oh, by the way, a client came and they have to meet on Friday afternoon. Whatever it is, and you're like, well, no, I can't do that. And so I mean. You do have to be a little flexible,
right?
But at least you're conscious about it. I know, like, what? I didn't get the chance to do that. I've got to do that next week, or I've got to do it at this time. So you're just at least conscious about it, that spending that quality time is really, really important. So the second one, spend more quality time with your wife. Mm-hmm. Same, or significant other, however.
Sure.
So one of the ways to do that is go on dates, date night. As I had mentioned, Dr. Ellen had a formula, which was, every night, once a week going on a date night, once a month going on an overnight stay, and once a year going on a week vacation.
That's actually pretty cool. Yeah, that's a good one.
Now, I'll have to be honest, I haven't been able to do that.
It's not easy. That's a lofty goal.
It's not easy, but it works. It's good. But I've made the effort to at least do something. I mean, we get weekends away, and we do that.
Well, and you also mentioned an overnight stay can mean that the kids are somewhere else, and you're staying at your house overnight.
Correct. Right? It's being alone, but it's better to get away.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, then you don't get caught up in your own personal. Stuff.
And so some people have said, like, it's too expensive. Well, there are ways around that, which we had an episode and talked about that, which is trade with another family.
Yeah.
If you have kids, I mean, if you don't have family in town.
And you go to their house?
Well, no.
Sleep over?
Make some friends, because if you don't have friends, then you've got a problem. That's a whole other resolution you need to make.
Yeah, exactly.
But, make some friends that have children, and you say, hey, guess what? On Tuesday night is going to be our date night, and on Thursday nights is your date night. And you take their kids, and it doesn't have to be an overnight per se. It could be just going out to dinner and going to some activity or watching a movie, whatever.
Sure.
Just spending that time, alone, and I believe out of the house.
Yeah.
I do think that changing the environment helps.
I would agree.
Rather than just, hey, well, we are alone. The kids are gone, and we just, can sit around and watch TV what we want to watch. Or, that's not as quality. So, okay. So as part of the other resolutions, then number 3 is go on a family vacation for a week.
Right.
So I do think that, so one of the things that I recalled from a study was having something to look forward to is a key in happiness. So actually having something to look forward to. I know when we made a vacation for our family, probably 3-4 months in advance, that was really enjoyable to even think about it. You know, it was like, oh, in March we're going to be going blah, blah, you know, for a week in Mexico, whatever. And I think the kids too were so much looking forward to that. It's like, oh, I can't wait to go. Granted, you might be setting yourself up for some expectations.
Yeah.
But it was still something that you had to look forward to. And so
I can remember that as a kid myself. I mean, when there's a trip to do or something you guys are planning to do, yeah, you absolutely.
It gets exciting.
Even just coming out here with my family to come visit, the mother-in-law and whatnot. Just the idea that we're going somewhere and doing something and it's out of the routine and out of the normal. It's always fun.
That's cool.
And if you can't do it for a week, do it for a weekend.
Right.
I mean, that's the idea here.
So the other one, which is part of the formula, which is go on vacation with your wife or spouse or significant other for a week.
Right.
That one is not easy for everybody.
Sure.
To say, hey, well, where are my kids going to go for a week?
Yeah.
I will say one of the things that had worked for us that we did was we actually split the time of our kids. So they stayed for 2 or 3 days in one location, then stayed at another location for 2 or 3 days, because it was a lot to ask family members or whatever to say, hey, take care of both of our kids, especially when they were really young, for a whole week.
Yeah.
We're leaving.
Good luck.
Some families
there
that,
you go.
that's
in the bag.
That wasn't, it's not that the family probably wouldn't do it. I just didn't necessarily want to do that. Like I felt like that was quite a task, especially when they're younger and they need a lot of attention.
Sure.
So that's something you can do is split it out, and split it with friends or something like that, where your kids are going to be okay.
Yeah.
And then watched over. And so you could do that with a group of families and say, hey, we're going to each take separate vacations and, split up the days.
It's timeshare baby.
Totally. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do with that. Number 5, go on an overnight stay once per month with your wife. So that is part of the formula as well. So that just means a hotel, you can, and there's cheap places to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you don't want to go too cheap, right?
Yeah.
Those hotels. The Shove It Inn. You want to go there?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, because a lot of arguments or rebuttals are typically about cost.
Yeah, of course.
From people.
And there are inexpensive options.
There are inexpensive options. Yeah. There's trading places. There's all kinds of stuff.
Airbnb.
That's correct.
Yeah.
You just have to be.
Not even a sponsor.
So this is a good one. Number 6, I will eat more healthy foods. So as a dad, keeping healthy, not only showing your kids what good nutrition is, but eating healthy. Now, I think like the other ones, you need to be a little bit more specific. So you need to say, like as an example, maybe weekends are your cheat days, or you have a cheat day, or do you have 2 or 3 cheat days, or whatever you call them that.
It's funny. Who Andrew, former host of another podcast I used to host, he did meat Fridays. So he'd only eat meat on Fridays. He was a vegetarian most of the week, and then he'd have one Friday that he'd eat meat. Yeah.
No, and
it was a cool idea. Actually, it worked. Yeah, we'd always get sushi that day. So.
There you go.
Yeah.
I look at it too. You can set an example by how you eat. So it's not just about, again, you and feeling better about yourself, but it's if you're making better choices about food, your kid's going to grow up making better choices about food.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, no, it totally reflects.
And it is a bigger picture thing. I mean, if everyone's making a bigger deal, people talk about, I want organic this or I want better food that. Well, if people buy it and demand it, it shows up more often. If you don't, it doesn't. So if you want to make a change or make an impact, which some of this is like, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
totally
worked for me where, because when I'm working during the week and it's just sort of consistent, it's easier for me to deprive myself of gluttonous things, where but I'm more disciplined in that way, but it's easier for me to do that. Whereas the weekends, I then feel a little bit more free to just say, what? Yeah, we'll go out to eat, or we'll do this, or I can eat that. And it's like, and I'm not killing myself so much.
Yeah.
Because I do want to eat healthy and I want to stay, in good shape. And so I think that's something you have to make it realistic.
Yeah.
And if you know yourself and to say, well, okay, then maybe it's not a cheat day. Maybe it is just, I'm going to cut back this much on that. I only drink this one kind of drink, 3 times a week or, whatever, a soda or whatever it is that might be your vice that, you want to back off on.
Sure.
So you do have to make it realistic. In the same vein, number 7, I will exercise.
Yeah.
Or exercise more or whatever. But also I think you do have to give it a time. How many times per week? Or
again, and for dudes to dads, you really do something with your kid. Go out and throw the football. Go out and play ball. You know, it doesn't have to be going to a gym.
Yeah,
your kids
that's
are
a great-
really excited to go out and play. It's
a great
You know,
point.
if you spend 30, 45 minutes because you need to
Go
be on a
kick that
treadmill,
soccer ball around. You'll get tired.
Yeah, absolutely. And
They'll wear
you'll
you
get
out.
tired before they will. So,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
it's as much as you need. Trust me.
I did that the other day. I was playing soccer with some of the neighborhood kids or whatever. I was exhausted. And it wasn't even a big, it was like a small little green belt.
Yeah.
And I was just, I mean, and I played soccer as a kid. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I like to play soccer, but it was like, I wasn't even going that hard.
Yeah.
I was so tired by the end of it.
And you work out a lot.
I know. And I think
Yeah.
it was like 15 minutes, 20 minutes,
yeah.
you know, whatever it was. Their energy level is different.
It
you know?
totally is. I had a memory of my friend's dad, and we were playing neighborhood two-hand touch football on the street, and he came out and he was like, I'm going to be the quarterback. And he would just come out and throw the ball because he didn't want to run too much. He was kind of older, you know?
You can settle a lot of arguments by being the all-time QB.
Yeah.
I mean, the game's like, you know, because you'll watch kids play out in the street and it'll be like 15 minutes of playing and 45 minutes of rule making.
Right.
And then modifying the rule making. So if a dad shows up and picks
Yeah.
all-time QB.
So your
and
son
just-
is like you.
Yeah, totally. Totally. It's not just my son. I mean, it's just funny. You just see it. I mean,
Yeah.
playgrounds doesn't matter. It's like, I got to have a rule for your rule and then this change
Yeah.
because that play changed. But yeah, if you have a dad
I
out there,
see that,
you know,
yeah.
playing around.
All-time QB.
You can keep, you can
That's
keep
great.
things going. Nope, just go to the next play. Kids will keep talking. You can get them moving.
That's great. That's great. Number 8, I'll hold weekly family meetings. I really like this one. We talked about this on a previous
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
The idea of having a family meeting in which you kind of do a status check. You kind of say you could do that weekly. I mean, you know, some people might say that's too often or something, but you hold it on a specific day and you kind of say, okay, what's our goals for the week? What did we do good as a family? What do we need to do this week? Kind of giving an update, you know, for everybody, not necessarily airing grievances and things like that.
Right.
It's more on sort of just constructive of kind of saying, hey, you know, what could we have done differently? And what are we going to do this week? You know, hey, maybe here's kind of the schedule for this week. You know, okay, you guys are going to have school. We also know that on Tuesday night, Dad's going to be doing this, you know, whatever. It kind of just keeps everybody informed of what's going on. I think that can be helpful because then kids feel like they're in the loop.
Yeah, and as your kids get older, you know, giving them a voice and a say.
Right.
You know, not here's what we're doing and ding, ding, ding.
Yeah,
ding,
what
ding.
are you doing
It's like
this week?
here,
Yeah.
what would you like? You know, what should we do? We're talking about making more time. Number one, spend more time. Okay, how are we going to do that? And it's not like, okay, son, we're going to do this. Like, what do you want to do?
Right.
You know,
Right,
once your kids are past like 4 or 5, and
They
you know,
love giving the input.
Yeah, I mean, and they seem to enjoy things a lot more. And then obviously, as they get into tween and teens, you have to, or you're not getting anything out of it. So,
Yeah, if you establish these patterns early of, you know, things that you're doing, and I think we have an episode we're going to talk about traditions, family traditions,
Oh,
and
sure.
things.
Yeah.
So I think that'll kind of touch on a lot of these
Yeah.
things as well. Number 9, encourage my kids more. I think what we meant by this was using positive words. And I'll give you an example. Like, I think as parents, we often may not think of some of the words that we're using to describe our children, even if it's not done in a mean way. Mm-hmm. Like you may say something that goes like, gosh, why are you so slow when you do that? And that you're not maybe thinking really, you're not trying to be mean or something, or you say, you know what, gosh, you just, that's, I don't know, you're lazy or something. I don't know. I mean, I try not to do that with my kids, but I can see how somebody can say some negative things without the intention. They're not trying to be hurtful or trying to be, but maybe be a little bit more mindful about the words that you're choosing.
Sure.
You know, and using sort of positive talk of, you know, in whatever way. I don't know. What is it? Champ.
And I had a little different take on this a little bit, which is, you know, something I want to try to do is kind of think like a kid. You maybe like 10 minutes a day or something like that, because you kind of forget. And I remember growing up, you have that deep feeling of like, they don't understand, you know, they don't know what I'm going. And it's true. I don't understand. They don't understand what we're going through. So yeah, and it's really, but to me, it's putting yourself in their shoes. Like, they came home from school and they were they didn't want to do their homework right away. Well, yeah, of course they didn't. They've
been out of school all day.
Right. Exactly. Well, it fits my schedule or it fits this. And when we can get to this or that, well, okay, but the kid doesn't care, you know? So I'm trying to kind of have that kind of a mindset, which allows to be a little more encouraging and, you know, allow again their input and their, you know, what they're going through to have an impact.
So encouraging, you're saying encouraging kids. With another one that we didn't put on here, maybe is just be more empathetic.
Well, that's a motif with this. I mean, we've done a lot of podcasts that covered empathy,
right?
And I think that's a good point. Is that being encouraging, but also understanding where they're coming from.
And once again, with kids getting older, and especially if your kids are smart, as they start to see you do that for them, they're going to start to do that for you. And we're talking about building long-standing relationships, right? So take these resolutions and take something like that and see how it changed your relationship.
I knew I brought him in here for a reason.
See, take it.
Brains of the operation.
Yeah.
He actually has got that good input. All right. So number 10, show love for mom or whoever in front of the children. Both talking and affection. So, we've said this before.
Oh, your kids haven't gotten to the that's gross yet?
Oh, yeah. No,
why are you kissing? Oh,
yeah.
No, not again. Oh.
Yeah, no. I remember that with my parents, too. Totally being just disgusted with the whole thing.
It's a rite of passage of life, yes. You should be disgusted by your parents.
Which is funny because now when my kids will be
That's how you were born, kids.
Yeah. It's like, why are you kissing? And there's a level of... everyone's got their own level of how far they go, of like a really passionate kiss may not happen, and also just what you say. So forget about just the affection, you might give a hug or kiss or something.
I love you type of thing.
I mean, even just the way that you talk to each other. I mean, they're going to see and hear everything. And so, making your wife like, the bunt of your jokes or something like that. I mean, you have to be conscious of that stuff. To be, and if you do have issues, to do it in, I shouldn't say always in private, because there are situations where you can't necessarily avoid it. Something happens, but then it's good for them to see you make up.
Sure.
That's another important one, because you're not perfect. You do argue. But it's important for them to see. And I think I said that on a different episode. We, my wife and I had like a discussion, let's call it, and
disagreement,
and we talked, and we were, things got a little bit accelerated. Use those kinds of words, and but then we solved it, and we said, you know what, we should make up in front of the kids, and so we actually consciously said, you know what, hey, no, I understand your point. I really appreciate you telling me that, and then kiss. I mean, it was totally staged.
Watch mom and dad make out.
Yeah, but it was totally staged, and they saw it. But I was like, I thought about it because it was really important because they saw us arguing. I thought it was going to be really, and I'm glad I thought of it because it's not something that happens all the time, but because I do think, and we've talked about that, it's not, you don't have to be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
So you do some things and you can fix it.
And show them that it can be resolved.
Yeah, it can be fixed.
Point. Yeah.
So that's an important thing. Yeah. The other thing is number 11, provide kids or your children more affection. So, I think you should hug or kiss your child each day. Your child should have some form of affection from you every single day. Yeah. And that may be in its simplest form, a kiss goodnight. That's if you're not doing any kinds of things. Right. But the other would be, a hug when you come home. I used to have, which, my children are now getting a little bigger, but it was big for my daughter. When I would come home from work, she would do a running hug. And she's like, no, step back, go back there, go back. It's funny because I want to go home and say, hey, what about, because she hasn't done it in a while. Yeah. But she would go to the back of the room and just run. And as she was getting a little bit bigger, it became pretty difficult to keep there. Yeah.
She's tackling.
I mean, my son would totally bowl me over if we did that. But it was just something that she obviously wanted that affection, and that became somewhat of a routine. Like when I came home, it was this big hug. Yeah. So I think that kind of thing is really important. We've talked about affection all the time too. That's one of the key ingredients for the fatherhood formula, if I might say.
There you go.
So that's a good one. Number 12, do something nice for someone outside the family. And I think, Kevin, you had talked about this one about, possibly picking it per quarter, or 4 times a year or something like that.
Again, how many of these things can you do? The idea is, once again, be a
Showing
good
your
role
children.
model.
Yeah.
Show what makes good people, if that's important to you. So something like this would volunteer your time, or just you see
And bring the kids.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it depends on certain things that you may do, and for your kids, what's right. But even knowing that, hey, what did you do last night? Oh, we went and served food to the homeless.
Right.
That has an impact. And then as they think later in life, oh, that's something you should do. Not like, oh, maybe that's something I do once in a while. It's something you do.
I have a friend that does that with on Thanksgiving, brings blankets with her kids to homeless people, and she does it every year, and kind of starts this little drive and gets these kind of cheap but cool blankets, gives them to the homeless people, and,
right.
And she does it with her kids, so their kids grow up with that sense of like
Totally.
giving. Yeah.
And some of this can be even simple, like opening the door for people and they're walking into the store. Or one of my favorite things is, the mom or the pregnant lady that's pushing the stroller and like trying to get in the door, and like people are watching her trying to get into the door. And you just take 2 seconds out of your day to open the door, and she's like so grateful, and your kids see that. It's just being a good human. So it's part of like, as you were just saying, your kids hear everything, they see everything too. So you're going to do a lot of bad stuff all the time.
Yeah. That's the one we talked about.
Yeah, you're going to do a lot of bad stuff a lot of the time. So if you can throw in some good stuff that they're going to be seeing, like making up in front of them, that's going to help.
That's that manners thing. Like when you're in public, do you open doors for people? I tend to open doors for people when they're coming in, or especially.
Well, we're all perfect.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, of course we are. But even for like
it's so funny how people are surprised when you open a door.
I got that reaction the other day. I was waiting by the car, and they're like, "Well, the door's open." I was like, "No, I'm opening it for you." Oh, sorry. This girl freaked out. I'm like, no, we're just friends. But
what do you want from me, stranger?
Yeah, it's like, what do you want from me? I'm not giving you anything.
I'm not tipping you.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 13, take a class or learn something new. New language, something like that.
New painting or something?
Well,
instrument.
It was really, if your kids are learning something, it's kind of cool to share that. And yeah, we might have learned it 20 years ago, but you don't have a
Yeah, like
clue
my kids
anymore.
are in school, they're learning another language.
Yeah.
And so it would be, it'd probably be pretty cool if I learned that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
No,
Otherwise, they're going to be talking without me.
Yeah, they're like communicating, and you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's you definitely.
Well, my wife's they're learning Spanish. My wife speaks Spanish too.
Yeah, but when
yeah.
she's
And so-
on their side, and
Well,
you're
totally.
not,
They all start talking about me in Spanish.
You're
It's
like the
kinda
lady.
difficult.
You're like the lady in the nail salon that doesn't know what they're saying about her back and forth. No, really, the idea is, I mean, you think as your kids get older, they're going to be learning some history. They're going to learn Shakespeare. Like you could take a class now or a year before, something like that. So when they get to that section, which can last months in their lives, you can contribute. It's kind of cool. Versus just being like, oh, I remember when we learned that, and oh, okay, I've heard that from you before, Dad.
I remember
you
being
saying I
really
have to go
good
back to
at
school?
math, and I literally invented a formula in geometry, but I can't remember how I
Did
did
you patent
that.
it?
No, I was in ninth grade. I don't remember what I did. I was just like, I invented it, and it worked for every single problem that we had in this finding the area of a hexagon, I think it was. But to this day, I can't remember how I did it. And so I'm like, I need to take a class again so I can remember all this
Totally.
stuff. Apparently, I used to be good at it.
I didn't know we have Goodwill Hunting over here.
Yeah, seriously. How do you like that?
No, I'm
apples?
nowhere near good with hunting. I'm more like Matt
impressive,
Damon.
Yeah, no, that is cool. 14, do a social media or game app cleanse. And as a result, use that extra time.
Yeah, that'll fuel number one real quick.
To spend extra time.
Extra time.
It's amazing if you cut off social media,
Yeah.
how much time you have on your
That's
hands.
amazing.
Or just, I mean, any of that stuff. Some people are like, oh, I don't go on Facebook, but I play, whatever Evil Dead app for I'm a level 7,822. And I chat with, I have 128 friends from it. Yeah, but what did you talk to your kid about today? Huh?
I have a kid.
So, I mean, again, very extreme, drastic kind of.
My virtual kid or my real kid?
Totally. Oh, my kid plays it too. Ah, perfect. All right, there you go.
So 15 is similar to 13, which was take a class or so, but this is learn a new skill. So that's what Alan you had said. So
play
like
an
music,
instrument.
painting, dancing,
Martial
do something
art, maybe.
outside. Yeah, do something outside your comfort zone. And once again, if your child does something like that, they play a sport, they play, maybe that's something that you could participate in.
Sure.
And the other side of this one was to do something where you may fail and have your kids see it. Especially as the dad, you got to be perfect. You're always trying to make things perfect. You have a solution for everything that comes around, right? Well, if you go out and do something, put yourself out on a limb, and it doesn't work, great. They see that as an example and how you recover from it. If it works, even better. You look like a superstar, and you learn something in a week.
Right.
But yeah, it doesn't have to be a grandiose thing. Just do something different and get outside and do
And you can
something.
laugh at yourself, and then they see you
absolutely.
having humor in that and stuff. Like, yeah, that totally makes sense.
Absolutely. They don't see the life lessons we learn at work every day. So you might as well show them something else.
Unless we're a loser outside outside of their,
Yeah, the
in their
humility,
eyes.
the daily beat down.
Ouch. All right, number 16, share some of the limited screen time. I think, one of the things with this is maybe learn how to play a video game or something that they have interest in. Mm-hmm. So, if your kids are, playing video games, learn how to play it and maybe play doubles.
Yeah.
Play, do something that they do.
First of all, at some point in time, they all get to it, and as technology gets into everyone's hands, they have games, and so there's going to be stuff. There's screens everywhere.
Just don't yell when you beat them and say you're king of the
world.
world.
Why?
No.
They got to learn it somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, come on. No, but really, I mean, it's even it can even be one of their favorite shows. It's a show you probably would rather gouge your eyes out than watch on your own. But if you can tolerate it and be able to talk about the characters or about what's going on, again, it's something that they think about and talk about. So if you can connect with them, all the better.
Their eyes light up when you recognize something that they recognize.
Dude,
I remember
totally.
doing that with my friends' kids, and they talked about some anime, and I knew about it for some reason, and I was like, oh, blah blah blah. And how about this character? And they're like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. Then they go on forever.
No, I mean, I agree.
It's cool,
it's just showing. Again, you talk about just having showing that you care or showing that you're interested in what they're interested in.
Yeah,
perfect.
That's cool.
That totally makes sense.
Number 17, have more family fun nights or game nights.
Game night.
That's a fun one.
Yeah. We brought up board games and cards.
Right.
Previously, in the previous episodes, we talked about board games and then cards, which is a really great example of what you can do with a fun family without doing video games.
Right.
It ties in all these other things.
There's so many cool games. We just got one. Of course, I've forgotten the name of it. But Ellen DeGeneres came out with a game where it's basically you put some stuff on your head and people are doing like clues. They'll sing the song. And you have to guess it. I mean,
I think there's an app on your phone that can do that too.
Right, that's what it was first. Now they're making a board game, or maybe
funny.
I don't know which one came first, the apple or whatever. But
the apple or the tangerine
or the cart, but yeah, it's just there's so many. You go into Target or wherever you go, and there's $10 buy a game, and for 6 months it's like the coolest thing, and you go through it. So it's a great way. And
no, it is fun. I mean, and kids will look forward to that, having a family game night or something like that.
Do you guys have a favorite board game?
Monopoly.
Monopoly?
Yeah.
That's
I still play it.
Traditional.
I still play it.
One.
I just played it not too long ago with my kids.
Yeah, they've got a newer version of Monopoly too, so you don't.
There's a ton of them.
Yeah, well, no, I don't mean like versions, but it's like a Monopoly Express, and you build like a tower of like brands that you get versus going around the entire board. And it can be done in like an hour and a half.
Oh yeah.
So it's basically being like, okay, we understand that kids really don't have attention span, so here's Monopoly.
Yeah, the 6-hour Monopoly game is a little bit difficult.
You're lucky if you can get one sometimes,
right.
Especially if your kids, like, hey, I'm not giving you that.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there's any kind of game or interaction that's non-technical.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
Sure.
Because that requires interaction.
Yeah.
So and thinking, I mean, addition and like
right.
I had my son was the bank, and so I mean I'm forcing him to add and subtract and doing that kind of stuff. So there's some learning too. Kevin, this was one that you had talked about. Number 18, go to more sporting events, and they don't have to be professional.
They don't have to be professional, and it could be.
You said even like a local high school.
Yeah,
kids
go to
love that stuff.
the Friday night football games. I mean, where you may be listening to this, that may already be something you guys do all the time because that's what everybody does. But kids love it. It's getting out. It's interacting on stuff. It's showing them sports that they're kind of playing.
And community
at a
support.
Level. Yeah. Absolutely, that too. And if sports are totally not your thing, go to a concert in the park. Go, do something that's out and active and shows something that other people are out doing. Because you always talk about your kids. You can dream and do.
Yeah,
this type
there's
of stuff.
drama performances. There's musical performances. All the schools have that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Absolutely, yeah. When you're saying the community support, I mean, yeah. If even your kid doesn't go to the high school yet, going to the high school play is kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
I remember having older siblings. That was a real highlight of my upbringing or like childhood, was going to the older kids' games.
Right. Yeah.
Granted, I had my sister was a cheerleader or whatever, but I remember like elementary school and then especially junior high school, going to the football games of the high school was just the coolest thing.
Yeah.
That's where, I mean, it was just a cool thing to go and watch. And granted, we had really good teams, and so it was enjoyable. But yeah, I do remember that as a kid. It was just, and that was even as I was getting a little older.
Yeah.
It's funny because I went to so many more games as a younger, not in the school, than when I was in the school.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Even though I played sports in school.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I think I was that way in college. I went to USC, which is one of the biggest like football schools ever, and I went to more stuff when I was out of school
Right.
than I did when I was in it. I don't know.
You don't got time for that.
Yeah, I was tired. I got to study and I don't have any money.
You can't drink there.
It was the study that kept you out. Yeah,
you can't
exactly.
drink at the game. That's why. You know?
No, I just have any money. That's money.
Yeah, there you go.
That is a big one. Yeah, you're until you have a job.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't have financial aid for my recreation.
And then the last one we had was living within your means, balancing your budget, and teaching your kids values or
the value of the money. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's so hard to for any of us to even do that. And then you say you want to do it for yourself, but again, for the moral of the story for this show is show the example for your kids. It's so easy to argue about money, so easy to worry about it. If you're showing that you have some semblance of control over it, hopefully they'll have an easier time with it as well.
Sure, yeah.
So these are 19 tips. If you guys have any tips, suggestions, thoughts, email us, podcast@dudestodads.com. You can also Twitter,
Facebook,
Dudes to Dads,
yeah.
And send us some love.
Yeah.
Also, Stitcher.
Go to Stitcher and iTunes and give us a rating, 5 stars preferably, and then leave us a review. It would be great to hear some feedback within there, but it also helps perpetuate the podcast and get it up in the rankings.
That does. So we went over these New Year's resolutions. So here's a good question for you guys. How do we make these actually happen? How do here's 19, everybody's got their own resolutions that they're thinking of. How do you really make these happen and do it? Because it's so great. We all talk about it and then we write a bunch down but the reality, a lot of them don't happen.
Sure.
And the reality is you don't make one happen, so you don't make 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 happen. Yeah. So we kind of talked about it. Hey, how is this digestible in an ever-changing life of being a dad? How do you actually make this so it's something you can look to attain next year? Okay, what if you just took one a month? Make it this month is the month where I take a class. This is the month where I spend that extra couple hours. This is the month I learn the video game. And if it doesn't happen that month, it's okay. Go out for the next one. So
that's a good idea.
So what you say, you pick, so let's say you have some personal ones as well, but you pick 6 of these family ones and you space them out, January, March. If you make the January one, great. But if you don't, make sure you do the March one. Don't let it slide and say I can't do it all because I got off my diet in January. This is the idea of just if you can do it and come January 2017, you can look back and say, oh, wow, 4, 5, 7, I did. That's awesome.
Well, this comes to the same thing that we talk about in the formula that I've been, sort of going to, which is the number one thing or the first thing is commitment. Mm-hmm. As being a parent, the number one thing you have to do is commit to being a good parent.
Yeah.
It sounds really easy, but it's not.
Right.
You have to say to yourself, I really want to make this happen. This is important to me, and I'm going to make it happen. And these kinds of resolutions are things that are going to improve your relationships with your family and your kids, your wife, whoever. You really have to, that is the first step, is just making that commitment to yourself to say, hey, you know what? I want things to be better, but I also need to be realistic about it.
Sure, yeah.
And so what happens is we often will, like you, Kevin, you said, we'll make a whole bunch of them and none of them get done. And when you blow the first one, you're like, forget it. I don't need to do the other ones either. So the idea of taking maybe one thing and slowing it down, and maybe you you accomplish the one thing, then you can go on to a second one if you want to, but really breaking it down and making it simple. I think that's probably the key, to making these successful.
Sure.
So we each need to pick a couple of these.
Absolutely.
I think I already see a couple of them that I have to do, I got to go on vacation. All the ones that have to do with vacation, I like those ones.
Totally. If someone's willing to sponsor my vacation, you can send checks to
Well, okay, so let's finish this off. Is there one specific that speaks to each one of us that you really think is something that you can do and you could commit to doing?
As the dude of the show, I would say the food and exercise one specifically, and I want to
be specific.
That working out at least twice a week.
Okay,
at least. But
so minimum 2 times a week.
Minimum 2 times, maximum 4. I do want to.
And how do you measure then your health intake or your food intake?
Just look better.
No, meaning how you say, I'm going to eat better. What does that mean?
I eat all right, I think, in that context. I'll just drink less.
So what does that mean?
Less beer and
certain
less wine.
times a week?
Yeah, so just weekends. Space out most of the week.
So you want to go for beers tonight?
That's Yeah, New Year. Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, well, maybe I'll cheat once in a while.
There are always special occasions.
Yeah, special occasions.
Wow, picking one. It's kind of tough. I really want to be able to go on a family vacation for a week. I think that's a big key one. And I also like the idea of kind of learning either the language or class or the skill, something that can relate to the kids as they start to take on these things and get older.
That's cool. I'm going to do the weekly family meetings. I really, really like that idea. I think my kids will really like it as well. They like to have input and they like to do that.
Is your daughter going to take over?
Totally. She's 5-year-old. She's the one in charge of the meetings with a gavel.
Sir, you're out of order.
Yeah. Well, that's something you go around and like,
Hey, let's get him out of here.
Each person maybe is in charge of the meeting for a certain,
that's a cool
day.
idea. That's cool.
There's a couple resources that talk about this of like how to do this. I think we touched on it. There's software development. Is it Agile? I think it's called.
Oh yeah,
it's a style
Agile
of,
one.
Yeah, or style of software development where it's screwing up quickly, and sort of making decisions organically, there's some methodology that actually can be applied to parenting. Yeah, and so part of it is having these weekly meetings where what's going well, what's not going well. I mean, that's it. It's very similar to project management in our business. Yeah. So I think that could actually apply pretty easily for me. Yeah. Just doing projects and that kind of stuff that I just have to think of my family as a project.
I like the
that
idea.
Sound good.
Well, I know, right? Yeah. What are the end goals and how do we measure it? Yeah.
Except I'm spending money, not making money.
I like the idea of having each person take over a meeting, like just rotate who's in charge of reading the notes, so to speak. Right. So if you can get them to do that, they're all at that age. It's kind of cool. Then they all feel responsible.
No, I like it. Yeah. I really like it.
I think that'd be a good idea.
It just has to be done before I have a margarita. Because if we do it on our Fridays, I was just thinking about we have our Mexican food night Fridays or burritos and whatever, and so that's a tradition every Friday. And I was just thinking that might be a good time to have the meeting, but I have to do it before dinner.
Yeah.
So after the first couple of weeks, you might want to have it after.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Exactly.
Well, with that, we've learned some New Year's resolutions for dads. Kevin, thank you very much.
Yeah, it was great having you.
And guess what? He's going to be here next week as well. So we're going to record another one.
Cool.
So that'll
be
cool.
great.
Fantastic.
Assuming we're still friends after this. I think we'll actually make it. We've made it this far.
30 years.
So Kevin, Alan, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Another great episode. Absolutely. And we will see you next time.
See you next time.